Hello, everyone. This is Desmond, the Professor Mason with Out the Park Productions, and in today's video, I'm going to show you several ways to make your 808 hit harder in trap, R&B, and pop compositions. I make my 808s harder in my workflow in three ways. Number one, I add saturation and or distortion to my 808s to make them uh, stick out more in the composition and to make them be perceived to be hitting harder, darker, and more livelier. Number two, I use proper high pass filtering to make sure that my 808s have definition and aren't muddied by unnecessary frequencies that the human ear cannot hear, anyways. And number three, I use proper gain staging and balancing to make sure that the kick and the 808 have a harmonious relationship within the composition. So right now, I just have one of my trap compositions pulled up. It has a hard 808 in it, 808 that I made harder by using those three processes that I've told you before. And here's the composition and what it sounds like. Alright, so how did I make the 808 hit that hard? Okay. So let's look at my inserts. I only got two inserts going. The Sound of Toys effects rack and the SSL channel stereo. Excuse me. So in my effect rack, I got Sound Toys Decapitator going. And Sound Toys Decapitator emulates 5 different types of saturation from vintage gear. In my opinion, it is the best saturation plugin on the market. Soft tube saturation knob also does great. But I usually use that plugin on more melodic elements rather than bass elements in my mix. I like the Decapitator for both 808s and drums. But it really made my 808 hit harder right here. So this is with it. This is the 808 with it, right? But then once I turn it off, makes the 808 a lot more regular and basic. For these types of compositions, you don't want a basic, regular 808. So I just added the Decapitator to add some nice distortion and nice harmonics on top of the bass frequencies to make it stick out more. This will also make your 808 stick out more on laptop speakers, on small speakers that are not as much, that doesn't like play as many bass frequencies. A word of caution while using distortion and saturation on 808s, you want to watch how much bass it takes away or how much low frequencies it does take away. Because if you use too much saturation or distortion without watching that, your 808s will actually become thin and it won't bop as hard. So you just want to strike a balance with that. And this is how I got my 808 to like hit with distortion and saturation. And then with the SSL plugin, I just did some gain staging and some high pass filtering. I always like to high pass above 30 hertz for 808s because frequencies below 30 hertz are just mostly rumble that you can feel but you can't hear. And just that little bit of shelving like really gives the bass or the 808 more punch and more definition. So that's how it became that. So without the inserts, with inserts. And then one final thing to do to make sure that your 808s hit hard is to make sure that it lives greatly with your kick. And how I do that is while I'm mixing, I'm going to turn the limiters off and whatnot, so it's going to be a little bit quieter. While mixing, I would usually put the kick and the 808 through a car plug-in, a car emulation plug-in in Buyer Dynamic Virtual Studio. This was a free plugin that was available. I don't think it's available anymore, but you could do this in any good car emulator or mix checker. But I choose to do it through this plugin, and it hasn't really done me any wrong. This plugin is great as well because I can put it through big venue, surround studio, or regular studio. But I like the car setting the best. And what I do is that as I'm listening to this through headphones, you gotta listen to audio through this plugin through headphones. Is that I just make sure that the kick punches through and that the 808 distorts just enough to rattle the trunk. 808s were built to be trunk rattlers, and an 808 doesn't hit hard if it doesn't rattle the trunk. So I just make sure, again, that the kick punches through, that the 808 rattles the trunk, but it's balanced with the kick as well, that they are living together rather well. You do not want the kick to overshadow the 808, nor do you want the 808 to just drape over the kick. It both have to hit hard at the same time. And before this process, these things are not clipping or hitting the red. They're always below 0.1 decibels full scale. So those are the processes that I use to make my 808s hit harder, and again in the context of the composition. There you go. You have a hard-hitting 808. It's always great to have great 808 sounds. I got this 808 sound from Decap's Drums That Knock, and they usually have enough distortion in their own right. It's just that with this composition, I felt like it needed just a little bit more oomph. No offense to Decap, because Decap knows how to make them knock. But those are some of the processes that I use to make my 808s hit harder. If you liked anything that I had to say in this video, please drop me a like. Subscribe to my channel if you want any more tutorials from me on production. And yeah, this is just about the end of the video. If I missed anything, or if you have another process to make sure that your 808 hits hard, let me know in the comments. And this is the end of this video. So kudos to you for making your 808s hit hard from now on. Bye-bye.